Alrighty, hello and welcome to this Core Dino Talk, May 2023. I might do this every month or so, I'm thinking, but you guys requested it, just seeing exactly what I'm feeling at the moment, what I'm enjoying. Of course, it does change here and there, but these things that you see, and I'll explain why I like them so much, that's what I'm loving quite a bit. There is some missing parts. Of course, it says 56 of 60 for going back and forth between certain planeswalkers. Luca, Bound to Ruin, which you can take a look at. Vivian Reed, of course, that I just used. I'll still probably grind out a couple days with her. She is fantastic. And sideboard, 14 cards at the moment, 4 flame sweeps, 3 back to natures. You could possibly cut some T-Rexes and Carnage Tarts, but I must admit, I do love bringing all these things in against control and really scaring them away. 4 Carnage Tarts I don't feel is enough to see it as consistently as I would want to, and of course definitely nice Castle Garenbrig powering out that Carnage Tyrant or T-Rex early and easily and stably. But we'll start at the beginning. The 3 amigos, they are featuring quite heavily. Of course, they can and often do get killed by various removal, but it's just the best package, absolutely. Drover the Mighty oftentimes being reduced to a single green with Marauding Raptor out, but hey, 2 for a 3/3, taps for 1 mana of any color, and it should often be a 3/3 with all these dinos. 26 of the actual creatures are dino, and that's pretty fantastic. Then Huntmaster, I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's better than Llanowar Elves. Maybe if, you had a lot of stuff at 3, the case could be made. Llanowar Elves, turn 1, turn 2, you have 3 mana, boom, Topiary Stomper. But at the moment, that's the only thing at 3. These powering out, Ripjaw or shifting on turn 3, as Llanowar Elves would do anyways. But, of course, Huntmaster, better than Llanowar Elves in a heavily focused dinosaur deck. Imagine Llanowar Elves dies to the same stuff and Huntmaster dies to the same stuff, but Huntmaster allowing you to play shifting turn 3 the same as Llanowar, but you get to attack with shifting. So it's better. It's just better. If either one is going to survive, you should be playing this, because that's going to lead to infinitely better aggression, especially if you can stack it with Marauding. Marauding, of course, kills Llanowar Elves, kills Huntmaster, but yeah, but it's still good. Maybe you have Domri, Anarcho, Bolus, other dinos that cost 3, so it could be maybe a slim case for the dorks. And if you're using the dorks, you would use all 8. You want to see it as often as possible. 6 is not enough to see it as consistently as you should want to get 3 on turn 2. And of course, it's not really advancing aggression much anyways. It's always a 1/1. If you're using the 8 dorks, Marauding makes 8 of your cards in your deck dead draws. That's never seemed good. If you have 4, you'll not see it nearly enough as you want. But yes, something for 2 on turn 2 leading to something on 4, turn 3, possibly combining that cost reduction. It's just the package I've been loving. And a lovely backup, Drover, being a 3/3 body, is quite threatening and just nice for the aggression overall, especially with Flame Sweep, because that is the all-star. It is lovely adding this back in, having pretty good chance against some aggro, and even if we don't take them out, as you guys may have seen tonight, if you didn't, check out the match against Dimir, Rogues, and Shieldred. Oh, the all-star, absolutely. It's nice to have this thing. Oh, but yeah, we soften them up. We take out the little stuff, take them down within range. Drover of the Mighty normally can't trade with Shieldred. She's got 5 toughness. Boom. Shieldred drops down. All we need to deal is 3. Drover lights out. Marauding Raptor, chances are, is at 4 power. Done. Pretty much everything, whatever Shieldred blocks, she's done for, and other little creatures as well. Of course, Flame Sweep, 2 damage, takes out Blood Tithe Harvester, Reflection of Kiki Jiki, the Goblin token, It can be pretty painful against Rakdos, although 3 damage is a pretty sweet spot. Take out Bone Crusher Giant, Graveyard Trespasser, other stuff, but yeah, that's the bee's knees so far at this very moment. Of course, lovely pinging Ripjaw Raptor. Maybe it blocks something, they're going to try to remove it, or if it's going to die anyways, might as well ping it to draw a card, and then it also draws a second card when it's dealt damage in combat. That's lovely stuff. And shifting, of course, always fantastic to start out with this against spirits, which you may have seen. The first match of the night recorded on my phone. Shifting is the trick, the thing to bring the pain against most variations of spirits. Mono blue, of course, Azorius, definitely. But maybe Azorius has a little bit more costly stuff. Spell Queller, of course, can temporarily deal with shifting. However, you got 4 copies and lovely other bodies. Certainly Drover being a 3/3 can be quite scary for spirits overall. Hopefully they don't have too many lords, but still, that has been just a lovely, lovely backup. Topiary Stomper, I mean, ugh, that's a no-brainer. Often enough, this costs 2 green, the same as Rampant Growth for anybody that doesn't know it. 1 and a green, search your library for a basic land, put it into play. Perhaps, you played Huntmaster on turn 2. Turn 3, you play your 3rd land. 1 red for Marauding, 2 green for Topiary. Boom, Marauding pings Topiary, it's a 4/3. The Huntmaster that you played the previous turn taps. You swing with Marauding, possibly the opponent has no creatures, maybe they don't want to block. So you connect with this, you deal 2 extra damage to the opponent, and you get a basic land for 2 green, and often enough, not every time, but often enough down the line it becomes a creature you can attack and block with. Vigilance, of course, or it could be a fantastic fight target as well before you get to those 7 lands. Register Alpha, I mean, so not much to say about this. Always in, don't ask questions, give all your dinos haste, you give Ancient Imperiosaur haste. Register Alpha doesn't have to be untapped to do that, so you can tap this, the token, anything you didn't want to attack with. Topiary Stomper, of course, before 7, use it to help play this easily, make it bigger. Boom. Maybe you didn't want to attack with anything for whatever reason. This entering as a 14-14, 12-12, at least if it enters as a 12-12, that's the same power as Galt, which is quite fantastic indeed. And speaking of Galt, I mean, you've seen it multiple times. That's the ticket. All of these things work together in pretty good harmony, I must say, but don't do 1. At least 2 copies, 3. There was the fantastic match tonight where I think both Shieldreds, no, it was 5-color Enigmatic Incarnation. Play 1, they invested resources, blocked with a few creatures, nasty creatures, to take her out. Then I play the 2nd copy and they invest resources. Then I play the 3rd copy and I kill them. Finally, it's an uphill battle when you do that. Possibly not 4, that can be a little bit overkill, but she is so impactful. And maybe you have the 4th copy in the sideboard, perhaps against some safe matchups where you feel you'll get her out. Maybe on the play, you bring in the 4th copy, it does the trick. One is not right. At least 2. Land-wise, 22. That really does seem to be the sweet spot. I've tried 23, 24, but 22 is definitely at with all the ramp, pseudo-ramp, cost reduction. 16 things that get me ahead. Technically, it is 20. Castle Garenbreak, we get to 4 mana plus this. It's as if it tapped for 2. It makes 6 and lines up with Carnage Tyrant's cost of 6. So it's kind of like 20-ish things get me ahead in that department. Feels good. And the spread, sources of red, you want to hopefully, usually always see 1 source of red on turn 2 for Marauding or Huntmaster. Oftentimes, at least with this, you only ever need 1 source of red a turn, sometimes 2. Of course, there are dinos that require 2 red. The new Rampaging Raptor from March of the Machines is one of them. That kind of has made the early game awkward whenever I've tried it. But this definitely feels like enough, and having the almost no mono red sources, mountain being the only one. In the off chance I need to grab it desperately for whatever reason, topiary stomper possibly can do that. But yeah, mono red sources mess things up with the cost reduction. I've mentioned this many times before. Drover sometimes reduced to 1 green. You don't want to be stuck with 2 mountains, Shatterskull Smashing, which Isaac, if you're watching, that's partly why I moved away from it at the moment. Of course, Shatterskull is very nice, but Shatterskull messed me up one too many times. I had too many sources, too many mono red sources, I should say. I could play Drover, but I couldn't play Topiary. Or I could play Topiary and not Drover, and that is unacceptable to me. So, as many mono green or partly green to keep the dinos going. Oftentimes reduced to 2, Ripjaw reduced to 2, Shifting 2, Galta, oftentimes with so much power and reduction, reduced to 2. So that, yeah, not again. 1 mountain though, 5 forests, 6 total basic land seems to be, my favorite way to do it for Topiary Stomper. But again, if I'm bringing in Thunderherd Migration, or also Rampant Growth, 1 in a green, reveal a dinosaur, and it costs 1 less. Search for a basic land, put it into the battlefield, enters the battlefield, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, when there's 8 things that want to get a basic land, 6 does not seem like enough. But just Topiary, 6 the sweet spot. Keep as many duels as possible to keep that consistency up and see a source of red, but also a source of green early for these 2 Rockfall Veils. Sometimes it can mess me up if I see too many copies early, so that's why there's 2 there. I know if it enters untapped, chances are I see the first copy much later. I have 2 or more lands anyways by that point. 1 Rootbound Crag, again, I don't want to see too many early because it might enter the battlefield tapped, and that's a no-no. So there's a single copy. Usually by the time I see it, I've probably a mountain or a forest out at that point. A Sheltered Thicket as well. Of course, this fantastic turn 1. I don't have any turn 1 play, so it's very reasonable to go with this or Rockfall Vale as the turn 1 land. But late game I see this, I don't lead any more lands, potentially cycle it away, search for something. Possibly, maybe you could cut a Rockfall Vale, bring in a Sheltered Thicket. It is a mountain and a forest, so it does help Rootbound Crag also enter untapped. I've done that before where it's 3 or 4 Sheltered Thickets, 4 Rootbound Crags actually, before Karplusan Forest came out in Dominaria United. But yeah, that's always untapped. Taking 1 damage. I can't remember the last time when that actually hurt me. And we can turn Karplusan Forest into a source of green without taking a damage, using that colorless mana for Castle Garenbrig's ability. And that also goes to the mountain if we don't need the source of red. So we tap this mountain, Karplusan Forest for colorless, 2 other green, and boom, we've got 6 green. Pretty fantastic stuff. Then for Stomping Ground, that's pretty basic, standard, fantastic. And yeah, the sideboard, Back to Nature. Tonight I used 2 copies of it, but it is just so impactful against 5-color Enigmatic Incarnation, Fires of Invention. It brings the pain, does the trick. Yeah, I think that does it for this overview. Some flex spots, 4 here, 1 here. Graveyard Hate potentially could be a thing, but I don't worry too much about that. Of course, Greasefang is painful, but I really haven't faced it a lot. Sometimes I do get unlucky, of course, back-to-back Greasefangs. Decks that cheat out Atraxa here and there, but I think people get it out of their system and they want to go back to the normal stuff. Perhaps people get wise to that and they start bringing in dedicated hate. Maybe those decks don't perform quite as well. But yeah, that was good. hopefully you guys got a little bit of insight. If you have any questions, why I'm not using something, what I think about something, certainly always leave a comment in the Discord or this video, and hope to see you next time. Peace.